Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rich Bradley, President of the Board of Public Service. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Public Service for January the 10th, 2023. There are no lettings today, but we do have some hearing information to handle. Before we get into business, I would like to just take a few minutes and go over a few different things here. In particular, I want to start off and I want to acknowledge that what happened with this board last week from outside of this board last week was absolutely appalling and unacceptable, and it is not going to happen again. It is absolutely something that we need to safeguard against. And so with that in mind, I have spoken with STL TV and with Donna Brooks, and we have come up with a link that is a webinar. So therefore, the participants are actual panelists. And as you heard Donna speaking before the meeting, no one will be able to speak beyond the board members and the secretary unless one of us needs them to speak and STL TV can open up their mic. So I do want to go over a couple things here. So as a panelist, you will receive an email the day before the meeting. Please look for that. If you can't find that email, simply log into the link for the meeting that is provided on the agenda. And STL TV will promote you to a panelist as a board director. The other link that is on that meeting agenda is simply for the public to be able to call in and listen in, as it is a public meeting with no access to the microphone. Again, I'll say that, with no access to the microphone. So I would like to also talk a little bit about the idea that we talked about in-person board meetings again. This board regularly meets Tuesdays at 1:45. I know a lot of people logged on early today because they were trying to figure out how this all worked with the webinar. It does start at 1:45, so you can still start at 1:45. Don't need to be here at 1:30. And then as far as the public meeting together in person, I reached out to each of the board members and took your thoughts on it. And I believe where we are right now is at the moment is that we are still in the pandemic. There is still a lot of things going on health-wise. And beyond that, the board directors, all of us, have extremely, extremely busy schedules. And to do an in-person meeting for 10 or 15 minutes, spend an hour of your day walking to and from or driving to and from to get here would just be very taxing at this point. So we are going to continue with this webinar-based meeting until such a time when everyone here agrees that it is proper to come back together in person again. Okay, so we can talk more about this in the commentary of the meeting afterwards, but I'd like to start off with the fact that we had a public hearing last week. That public hearing, we completed all that we need to do other than voting on it, which we will handle after our agenda. And then we also we're scheduled for a revocation hearing revisit today. And that was revocation hearing number 130619, doing business as Regal Market, Kamal Mansara, to occupy 5791 Thekla as a convenience store with carry out and no liquor. Now, what I'm going to ask the board on this one to do today is that I'm going to ask you to please grant a continuance to this hearing until Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, because with the changing of staff in the secretary's office, the proper notifications did not make it to the public and the conditional use holder. And so to ensure compliance with public notification requirements under Chapter 536 of the revised statutes, I'm going to ask for a continuance, and I would ask for that motion at this time unless someone has a question about that.
So moved on the motion.
Second, Williams.
Thank you, directors. Is there any further questions or discussions before we vote? Thank you. Can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Director Davis? Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Isom,
Aye.
Director Scoggins,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
aye,
President Bradley.
Aye. So revocation hearing 130619 will be reheard or revisited on January 31st, 2023, and the continuance is approved by the board. At this time, I will ask the secretary to please call the roll.
Sure. Director Davis,
aye,
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Isom,
Aye.
Director Scoggins,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
aye,
President Bradley.
Aye, we have a quorum. I will call this meeting to order.
Regular business from the president. Recommendations that approval be given as follows. Preliminary approval for letting number 8754, Laclede Avenue, pedestrian streetlight, City of St. Louis, Missouri. Preliminary approval for letting number 8755, Forest Park Bowl Lake Pavilion, City of St. Louis, Missouri. An ordinance authorizing and directing the mayor and comptroller to grant a non-exclusive access easement to the Herwin family LP, encumbering a portion of certain parcel of real estate belonging to City of St. Louis Moore, known as 1300 Clark Avenue, and contains a severability clause. Emergency work orders issued for the month of August 2022 by the Department of the President and Facilities Management Division, Board of Public Service for emergency work and repairs requiring prompt attention. From the President and Directors of Human Services, Public Utilities, and Streets, joint recommendation that the following be approved. On December 13th, 2022, the minutes were approved under the approval number 303603. Corrections have been made to the minutes to reflect correction application numbers and approval numbers. From the President and the Director of Streets, recommendation that approval be given as follows. Preliminary approval for the City of St. Louis Bike and Scooter Program, draft rollout plan. From the Director of Streets and Public Utilities, joint recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Document number 303654, application number 131366, request from MoDOT to upgrade traffic signals at the eastbound I-64 ramp at 14th Street, exit 39A. I would like to bring their attention to the directors for the AT&T approvals. Because we were transitioning offices from secretary to new secretary, some of these applications have already been approved on December 20th. So if you can scratch out application number 118, application 119, application 124, and application 127, that would be great. Recommendations that that 5 applications from AT&T be approved subject to certain conditions. Application number 000108, application number 00128, application number 00130, application number 00140, application number 00143. Joint recommendations that 1 application from Charter be approved subject to certain conditions. 0001110 was already approved in December 20th board meeting. Joint recommendation that 4 applications for the Missouri Network Alliance be approved subject to certain conditions. All 4 applications were approved in December 20th meeting. Joint recommendation that 2 applications from Everstream Solutions LLC be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 00131 and application number 00132. Joint recommendation that 1 application from Verizon be approved, subject to certain conditions. Application number 00141. From the Director of Public Utilities, Recommendation that the board declares as emergency actions for the following: repairs to forklift number 293-415. This work is required for moving materials in our distribution section. Repair Howard Ben Nash vacuum pump. This work will include replacing the bearings, packings, gasket, and hardware. All labor parts and equipment to repair a 24-inch hydraulic cylinder actuator for a sluice gate at the Howard Ben Water Treatment Plant. Asphalt improvement at Grand Avenue and Second Street. All labor parts and equipments to repair pottled water pump number 15 at the Howard Ben Water Treatment Plant. All labor, parts, and equipment to repair multiple potable water pumps and associated impeller rotator assemblies at the Chain of Rock and Howard Ben Water Treatment Plants. From the Director of Public Utilities and Public Safety, joint recommendation that the following be approved, subject to certain conditions. Document number 303653, application number 131365, request from United States of America Army Corps of Engineers, Prairie Engineers PC, to expand their current facility at 117 Cherokee Street in City Block 1792. Document number 303655, application number 131367, request from Altea LLC to take 4 parcels ID numbers 3880-9-02.000, 3880-9-010-0, 3880-9-440.000, 3880-9-450.000, and making them 2 parcels at 490 North Kings Highway. Joint recommendation that the following be canceled and filed. Application number 131352, request to cancel applications that were approved on December 20th as approval number 303626, as this is a duplicate application. Application number 131354, request to cancel application that approved on December 20th, 2022 as approval number 303628, as this is a duplicate application. From the Director of Public Safety, recommendation that 4 conditional use permits.
Good afternoon, board members. Dylan Mosier with the City Zoning Office. Per Board Order number 766, transmitted here with our recommendations for the following conditional use agenda applications. Approval with conditions is recommended for 4 applications. These are 2900 Cherokee Street, first floor, 7704 Ivory Avenue, 354 through 356 North Boyle Avenue, and 2707 North Taylor Avenue, Unit A. I request these recommendations be approved as submitted.
Thank you, Dylan. Are there any questions or comments on today's conditional uses?
Motion to approve the conditional uses as submitted by Mr. Moser.
Second, Scobie.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes,
Aye.
Director Isom,
Aye.
Director Scoggin,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
and President Bradley.
Aye, today's conditional uses are approved. Next, I would like to handle hearing number 8268, Promised Land Tattoo and Piercing, 3116 through 18 Marginford. Last week, Mr. Christopher Boyle came in and testified with us that he will comply with all provisions of chapter 8.97 of the revised code, and all of his documentation was in order. And I will also mention there were no additional support or opposition to be testified at that meeting. So with that in mind, I'll open the floor for any discussion from the board. Seeing no discussion, is there a motion?
I move to approve. Scobie?
Second, Scoggin.
Thank you, gentlemen. Can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Director Davis. Director Davis. Director Hayes.
Aye.
I said aye, but I was muted. I apologize.
Director Isom.
Aye.
Director Scoggin.
Aye.
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Williams.
Aye.
President Bradley.
Aye. Hearing number 8268 is approved. Thank you. I'd like to turn your attention to our meeting minutes from our last meeting, December 20th, 2022. Are there any questions or comments on those meeting minutes as presented? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve, please.
So moved, Isom.
Second, Davis.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Director Davis.
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Isom.
Aye.
Director Scoggin.
Abstain as I wasn't there for the full meeting.
Thank you. Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Williams.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, the meeting minutes are approved.
President Bradley, may I interject? I had an oversight, President Bradley and Michelle. I need to abstain. I was not in attendance on January 3rd, excuse me. I apologize for that.
Sure.
Let the record reflect that Director Hayes has changed his vote to an abstention. Thank you. The meeting minutes are approved. Thank you. Before we vote on today's agenda, there is an item on today's agenda that created quite a buzz in the community and some conversations around our board. So if you would bear with me for just a moment, I would like to address this with a little bit of commentary. So good afternoon, board directors. Today we'll be voting on for approval of a revised bike and scooter program permit. Since 2018, companies have provided more than 1.3 million rides in the city of St. Louis, indicating a demand for this service. The city is also exploring other microtransit options across St. Louis, like we have downtown with successful Labyrinth electric shuttle to improve mobility and accessibility across St. Louis. St. Louis follows cities across the country from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois, have taken the time to readjust their permits and offer microtransit services while preserving public safety. This new permit is based on several years of experience with shared bikes and scooters, as well as a review of policies in other cities. The permit incorporates feedback from the community members, city departments, including the Department of Public Safety, and operating companies. The community members call upon the city to address speed limits, youth rides, and sidewalk usage. The city has addressed these concerns, and this permit will do the following. It will reduce the scooter speed limit citywide while lowering it further in areas like parks. It will prohibit group rides of youth by limiting users to one unlocked scooter per account. Scooters now have an age verification to prevent youth 18 and under from unlocking them. It will curtail riding and parking on sidewalks. It will implement a nighttime curfew from 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. to address the concerns of community members regarding the nighttime riding. Furthermore, the new permit lowers the amount of scooters able to operate in the city with caps on each neighborhood. The city believes this permit will balance the desire for inclusive microtransit with community feedback. So that are some prepared comments for the scooter program. And so we are considering today's BPS agenda and that item in particular. Are there any questions or comments on the agenda or any discussion on that particular item?
I'd like to make a comment. I think it's important to acknowledge for the public who have access to these hearings that these decisions aren't made lightly, I know that I can speak for myself. I got in excess of 20 individual emails for and against this vote. And as you know, Director Bradley, I requested additional historic information that you provided all of us prior to today's vote to inform my personal vote and to make sure that we looked at this extensively. I also want to thank you for the extra time that you took to provide us with this additional information to inform our response. So I think it needs to be said, though, that there are a lot of strong opinions on both sides of the argument. And it's reassuring for me, at least, to hear that the city has not only heard those, but has tried to address how those would be dealt with in the event that there is a vote for. So I think that warrants being said, because sometimes when you watch these hearings, it may not be clear the amount of work that goes into preparation for these considerations. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Director, for your comments. Very much appreciated. Are there any other comments from any of our other board directors?
I have a correction for the agenda, a typo.
Yes, sir.
Bottom of page 3, under the Director of Public Utilities, the last line says, Chair of Rocks, it should be Chain of Rocks.
Yes.
Duly noted. We will make that correction, Director. Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda with the amendment made by Director Scobie.
I've moved to approve today's agenda with my correction and the secretary's corrections that she made. And
Is there a
second,
second?
Isom.
Second, Williams.
Thank you, directors. Can you call the roll, please?
Sure. Director Davis,
Aye.
Director Hayes.
Aye.
Director Isom,
Aye.
Director Scoggin,
Aye.
Director Scobie,
Aye.
Director Williams,
Aye.
and President Bradley.
Aye, today's BPS agenda is approved as amended. Before we adjourn, are there any questions or any comments from any of our board directors? I think I would just like to thank you all for rolling with this and trying this new format out. I know it's going to take a little bit of time to get adjusted to it, but you are all extremely important to the operation of this city. And this meeting is very important to the approval of items to keep our city operational weekly. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for all you do for the city. Any other comments before we adjourn? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Sorry,
to
me
adjourn.
again.
Oh, go ahead, Doc.
Didn't want to go, I'm not usually this chatty, but I think it warrants saying again that, what happened last week was a hate crime. I wanted to be on record that that's exactly what was experienced, that it was highly unsettling and harmful for not only but I've spoken to other directors and we've been in communication. I do want to thank you for your willingness to hear us and to accept both our gratitude and constructive criticism for what transpired. When things of this nature happens, it's important to acknowledge, to check in with folks and to make speedy adjustments so that folks are not assaulted by that type of activity again. And after the conversations and planning that had happened, I've seen that happen. But I did want to, it's an elephant in the room, and it was important for me to say that on record as someone who was deeply affected. So thank you for your leadership, and thank you to my colleagues on this call who not only were of support to me, but I think of each other as we experienced that heinous crime. Thank you.
Absolutely, duly noted, and 150% agree. Thank you for that comment. Any other comments from any of the other board directors? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved, Hayes.
Second, Scobie.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Meeting adjourned. Thank you all. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Have a good one.